Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Hurrdat Media Network.
All right.
Thank you guys for listening to our podcast, and subscribe, like, wherever you're listening now. Make sure you hit subscribe, or on YouTube, ring that bell, whatever. Just it's Pat and JT. Just remember that.
Do you have anybody's bells you've rung?
Oh yeah,
A couple of them?
Yeah.
There's a couple. I've got about a handful, I guess. I do.
yeah. I got about maybe 10.
It's funny too because you think about it, because you still, if you go to your subscriptions, you're still going to see everybody that has new episodes when you go there, because you'll have the little red dot or whatever. You'll see everybody that has a new one, but for some reason you want to know when that one comes out.
Right. Ring that bell.
Ring that bell, because I'm not going to go right there.
Thanks to the algorithm.
But by the same token, I don't know, Facebook doesn't have anything like that, do they? Where you can get notified if somebody posts something?
Like a live stuff. Well, like on live, if somebody
Live
goes
stuff.
live,
Okay,
or
if
like
they
on
go
their little
But not if they
YouTube.
post.
What's it called? Facebook Watch. Facebook Watch. You can flag it to be notified.
But not like
for anybody.
If they post something.
I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, I know Twitter you can.
Twitter you can.
So I'm
and
sure
oddly,
Facebook's the same.
I do have a handful of people that I like to know
Weird.
the minute that they post
Right.
something.
Oh, God, they posted. And you run.
Well, maybe not like that, but at least I'll know that they posted something new and I can go find it. I'm trying to figure out which. I got notified that my Amazon account is coming up, so I'm going to be charged for Amazon.
$120 for the year or whatever. Or is it more?
$120.
$120 for,
$120 for the year. But the funny thing is then the conversation came up of, is it possible to quit Amazon? Is it possible if you're using all their services, and both on the actual literal sense, can you quit Amazon? To just in your daily life, can you quit Amazon? Is it too hard to quit Amazon?
That's a good question.
If you use it like I do, and I don't even want to tell you how many deliveries I've had in the last year.
Thanks,
but
COVID.
That's true.
I've had more this past year because of COVID than I've ever had.
That's jacking with the algorithm right there.
COVID?
Yes.
So do you have to, side note on that, do you have to be a Prime member to use Alexa?
I don't know.
Okay. I mean, like, you've never not been a Prime member. So
I haven't lived in that world. I don't know.
I'm not a peasant. I don't know what you're talking about.
Be gone. Silly question. And then I saw a couple things that were posted about the same topic, and I thought that's kind of funny, because not only is it just the thought of trying to disentangle yourself from them, whether it's the TV, what you're watching on Amazon Prime, the music, which is commercial free, anything you want to hear, whatever list you want to make, deliveries, obviously. What else? The grocery shopping, same way you can do that. I've tried that a couple of times. It's pretty slick. Next day, it's there.
Yeah.
But then there's also the other side of it, is literally trying to cancel if you're not where I'm at right now, because right now I can just not pay and then I don't have it anymore.
They say see ya.
But you can't. But canceling it is hard, and that brought up some other memories of mine of trying to cancel other services. That pisses me off more than anything when somebody makes it hard for you to cancel.
Yes, I right. And if you're not clear at the very, even if you are clear at the very beginning, and it says nothing's going to change my mind, I want to cancel. They'll still put you into this little loop to try to transfer you to somebody else. They'll ask you questions like, just freaking cancel me.
One time, I know this is hard to believe, I actually had a subscription to the New York Times. For whatever reason.
Post?
I don't know. I think it was the Times.
Okay.
I think it was the Times.
That's crazy.
I think it was the Times. I know, right? Crazy. I think it was some free thing. And I thought, okay, we'll see if I actually look at it. I didn't. It was just, it ended up being stuff I used to wash my windows with.
Super expensive.
Because it's the best stuff is newspaper. You know that.
Is it?
Right? Newspaper and Windex.
Really? I had no idea.
It doesn't leave any lint behind like with paper towels.
Yeah. It doesn't leave ink on the
doesn't.
one? That's weird. I
no,
had no
newspaper.
Clue.
By far the best thing. So if you want to get it for that, it's expensive.
Right. Or you can just get paper towels for 99 cents for 1,000.
And then don't worry about the links.
Just whatever.
Right. But anyway, you had to call them to cancel. You couldn't cancel online. And this was recent enough that everything's online.
They're sneaky.
And there are still some companies that are like that. You have to get on the phone with them to cancel, even though you can register online.
Yeah.
You can't cancel online. That really irks me when I find that one out.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, you've got simple little companies like Philo is a television company, right? That you can get some certain networks. That's where I watched Yellowstone. They had that. Paramount was a network, right? And you can join and cancel every day of the week if you want to. They really don't care. They
and it's all, you don't have to call. You have to just do it all on their app.
It's just super easy. And it all comes down to that customer experience. It's like, how much do you want to make it easy for your clients? Because they're more likely to come back if you don't leave a sour taste.
Yes. If you're not tricking them into, well, I'll just do it later and forgetting and let it go on and on. If you're honest with it, let them cancel like Philo or Phylum or Philo, whatever. Yeah. You're like, you're right. You're happier with your experience.
And one person said, and I remember this, they said, try canceling Sirius XM.
Oh, I've heard Beth on the phone many times trying to cancel.
Only by phone.
Only by phone you can do it, and it never fails. You actually, if you pay, you don't have to ever pay the full amount per month. You can get deals and get free echoes, blah blah blah. It's like $20 a month for that if you're not. So I think they rely on people just forgetting about it and paying $20 a month instead of the people like Beth that will call and say, I'm canceling until I get this deal. We can't, ma'am. Well, I'm out. Then
because you say I'm out, they'll say, okay, well, we have this deal.
Yes,
and
all
immediately
the time.
They'll sell that, and they try that, and if that's not quite good enough, you can just hang tough because they'll have another deal.
Yep. And she has before she has said when they give her the deal, she's like, you know what? No, I said I wanted the deal at the beginning, and now all of a sudden you have it. She goes, cancel me, and she hung up. I'm like, babe, they don't really care. Like that person doesn't care. You just dressed them down,
right?
They don't care. So she called back.
So anyway, so I got that on my mind right now. I'm obviously going to read.
It is pretty crazy that you brought that up because yesterday, I'm not. Like, I don't follow up on a lot of things, on certain things.
What?
Yeah. So I'm going through my checking account, and I've noticed recurring Netflix, and I've seen it every month, Netflix, and I assumed I've always been paying for Netflix, for the last couple of years, paying for Netflix. But then I noticed it was a little bit more expensive, like the middle of last year it went up a couple bucks.
Yeah, it did.
And then I started thinking even more, I'm like, wait a second. I told the kids a year ago that if they wanted Netflix, they could pay for it. I'm not going to pay for it anymore. But I remember having that conversation, but I didn't. I think it was that situation where I didn't either go cancel it. Bennett started paying for his own. Sophie said I'm out, and I just kept paying for it. So I called Netflix yesterday and got into this cycle of trying to figure out what email address, because none of my email I have 3 email addresses, only 2 that I would ever use for subscriptions.
Right.
None of them, the logins wouldn't work. It says that's an invalid email.
So you couldn't get logged in?
I couldn't get logged in to see even. And
to cancel?
No, not at all. So I called their customer service number. They ran my card number, and they're like, we can't find an account for this card at all. I said, well, it's charging. My
charges.
Yeah. And so the guy kind of got, I was getting heated with him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we got to figure this out. And he goes, okay, well, hold on. He sent me to another department. They ran my number again, and they found out that it was associated with some spam. He goes, oh, this is fraud. Like instantly, the person's like, this is fraud. Your email address is 2-5BJ blah, blah, blah at yahoo.com or at whatever. It's not even associated with me ever. So it's been, since they...
Is somebody else getting service off of what you've been paying for then, right?
They must be. So whatever it is, they canceled it, and they're going to refund me a year's worth of Netflix at $17 a month. Or 50, whatever it was.
Oh, party.
Right? But the fact that they didn't, there was nothing like, oh, this is fraud. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in that instance, it wasn't hard to cancel.
No.
But
that's
scary.
interesting. Yeah, that's something you do need to... You got to go through those, like the checkbook stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody writes it down anymore.
Yeah,
you got to get online and take a look at what's on there. The charges.
You don't realize, and I'm 47. You don't realize that just running up to the gas station or on the way home and getting a pop and a sandwich or a P3 and a whatever Red Bull, you do that every day, or on the way to work you get a scooters. I mean, you're looking at $400 a month potentially.
Yeah,
in little tiny just increments every day.
Because that's what they count. And isn't that there's a name for that too? That kind of embezzling. Or outright stealing, where somebody just takes. There was a story about that not too long ago. Somebody who did that, and it was like pennies that she was taking.
Like on Office Space. Was it Office Space? Yeah, Office Space. When they took
that was in there too.
Micro pennies a day.
Just a little bit, because it wasn't enough. You didn't notice it.
Yeah,
you just didn't notice it, and that adds up really fast.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of adding up, too, the one other story that caught my attention this last week was the one about the guy who forgot his password, speaking of passwords, and couldn't get to his money, his Bitcoin.
Oh, really?
He had, apparently, this guy had some Bitcoin. Anyway, it was in an account in his Bitcoin wallet. And he couldn't remember the password, and it's now worth $220 million.
Did he get notifications telling him of the balance increase, or he just had no clue?
I think it almost sounds like it works like a safety deposit box. Like you put it in, you lock it, like you have a key.
Okay.
And that's it. And so nobody else has it.
Holy cow.
And it says here, says he's in San Francisco, and he had 2 guesses left to remember the password. And it says it allows users to guess their passwords 10 times before it encrypts its contents forever.
Well, that seems
and there's
unfair.
No one around to help. There's no way around that. They said about 20% of existing Bitcoin worth 140 billion may be lost in those kind of wallets.
That seems scammy to me. That seems really super scammy.
That's how it's done. It's crazy. And I mean, at the time it wasn't worth a lot. I think he had something like 7,000 in Bitcoin, whatever that translated to at the time. But he had it, just put it away and just like, well, we'll see what happens with this crazy idea. Who knows if it's going to work? Next thing you know, it's worth $220 million. And I haven't heard what happened if he's tried it because he's got 2 guesses left, but he can't. If he misses it, it locks forever.
That just seems like it's not fair. That seems like it's
Isn't
criminal.
it crazy for something that is digital, Bitcoin?
Yeah.
There is no digital workaround to get to it.
Yes.
That's just
even
crazy.
if you lose a key to an actual physical safety deposit box, there's a process to go through to actually get in there. Like it's not like, well, that's it, you're done. You have a way to get through. There are safeguards
because you signed up for that box, right?
Yes.
So you can prove that's you, and then there is another key,
right? So there are ways around it. So this seems like BS.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah.
That was quite. I saw the guy, and he's just like, and there's no way he can remember because it was generated.
Ugh, and he didn't change it. Like you can't change it.
He did
password 123 for $200 million.
And I was like, how did you? Okay, he generated, but he didn't have a password vault because that's how if I generated it goes in the vault.
Yeah, he probably.
But at the time he didn't have the vault, so it was probably about 10 years ago.
Man,
when
I'd be
happened.
freaking out.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
to know you had $220 million.
I wouldn't. I don't know what I'd do. That is. I mean,
I think I told you I had a gold Krugerrand that's in a safe deposit box in Arizona somewhere.
It used to be.
I can't remember.
How does that work? If you don't open a safety deposit box for X amount of time, then you kind of get.
I don't know what they do with it. I've tried to look it up online to understand. I really don't understand what happens.
Because I know, like storage units, it's kind of this. It's like just higher security storage units.
I don't know if they can legally sell them off, or if it becomes
bet
the bank's property.
It probably does, and they probably auction it off like they do with storage units.
Because I haven't been paying for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I may. I doubt very highly I paid in advance for any significant amount of time because I was in college.
No, you didn't. Month to month, yo, let it ride.
I'm shocked it made it to the safety deposit box. To be quite honest,
100%.
That didn't cash it December 26th.
Yeah, flip it.
But anyway.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. If you have any input on anything we talked about, let us know. If you know how to get into a Bitcoin account, we'll hook you up with this new
guy. He might go for a share.
That's terrible. That's awful.
Wow.
Thank you guys for listening to our podcast.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.